Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy Bass the Kid. As always, like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, anyone in between. I appreciate. And if you could get them to maybe have a look at the memberships of the channel, I'd appreciate that as well. Couple other bits and pieces that did come up over the last day or so, so I figured it was only right to give my take on that. Without further ado, let's get into it. So in a strange turn of events, and I haven't looked at the entire story, so take what I'm about to say with a pinch of salt, but it looks like Conor Benn hired a brand new legal team to basically present some evidence of his innocence to the UCAD board, which I guess will go to the BBBOC with regards to the failed VADA tests that he had back last year. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently his new team are coming out saying that parts of his diet will be the reason why he failed. Apparently his body breaks down substances a lot slower than other bodies do, so he could eat like a tiny amount of eggs, but it would store in his system longer than others, and then it would kind of build up if the more he ate over time, rather than like going through his system the way normal people process stuff, or I guess other people process. I don't want to say not normal, you don't know. And so possibly it could have been the eggs again as to why this clomiphene was found in his system. Look, the WBC said it had to be the eggs. He said no, it's nothing to do with eggs, it's contamination. Now his team is saying no, we believe it's contamination, but it's due to trace amounts in eggs that his body couldn't process. I don't really want to get too much into this because this whole situation is boring, but it just seems weird that they're gonna go back to there was something that I ate which caused this, after that was supposed to be dispelled before, and there's supposed to be an issue with testing at the laboratory. It just seems a bit weird, and it kind of makes it a little bit laughable because you poo-pooed that explanation before, and now we're supposedly getting back to it. Not only that, but you were given that explanation 3 months ago, and it's taking you a further 3 months to come back to it. So if there was any potential ban or something like that, I mean, rather than it starting in September or January or something when it could have done, now it potentially might start in April, which just takes a lot more time off the career. I don't really understand this whole situation. Like I said, I haven't looked into it enough, but just based on hearing that, it sounds mad, and it sounds like there's a lot of ducks that ain't in a row. They're not in a line, they're not in order. Like things need to get tightened up over there, because it's getting a bit laughable, and the credibility at this point is seeming a bit shot. Ultimately, I feel as if their whole team at this point might as well just go radio silence and deal with whatever they got to deal with, because I think, like most people have said in this situation, innocent, guilty, indifferent, strict liability, whatever else, the wider public think that, you're tarnished. Whether you get proven innocent or not, the majority of people just think you're guilty, and they're gonna think you're guilty regardless of what the results are. So it's probably time to just forget about that, move on, don't bring it up again, because it's just gonna give people a reason to put it back in their minds and say the same thing. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but yeah, that's kind of how it seems, and still it's a madness. It is looking like all out civil war on the zone right now. Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya are going at it like, basically, what they call it, hammer and tongue, Pete and tongue, like they're going at it. It's mad over there right now. And the thing is, I don't really understand why. I mean, okay, I get the first part. Oscar De La Hoya is upset initially that Canelo went and, you know, signed fight by fight deals or signed deals with Matchroom on DAZN when he left Golden Boy Promotions, and that was like one of the last of his stars. And then since then, obviously Ryan Garcia, that one's not going too well. He hasn't had any mileage out of Virgil Ortiz over nearly a year now, since he did anything credible. Zurdo Ramirez got humiliated last November. Jaime Munguia, everyone's criticizing your matchmaking of him over the last like three and a half, 4 years. So there's no real stars that are over there at this point in time. But it's weird because it's almost like Oscar's deciding, in order for me to take down Eddie, I gotta join forces with my other enemies, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or is maybe my frenemy. So now he's out there, you know, almost pitching up tents with Leonard Ellaby and Lou DiBella and Bob Arum, and basically slating Eddie for any and everything that might happen to him on a weekly basis, just going at him on Twitter. And it's weird because it's like, you got more important things to think about at this point. Like, your business ain't doing as well as it needs to be. Like, the shows you're putting on, for the most part, are dead. And I say that as someone that can criticize and see the good in most of the shows, but like, on your undercards, there's no names that anyone has any interest in. You're not really building any future stars that we can see. There's a couple of good prospects that I see there, but it doesn't feel like they're getting the promotion from Oscar that, yeah, this is the next guy you need to be concerned about. The main events is a lot of the time A-star or A-list versus like G-list, like very uncompetitive fights, or fights that are supposed to be uncompetitive on paper. We're lucky that Munguia versus Derevyanchenko was such an amazing fight, but it wasn't supposed to be, because Derevyanchenko at this point is supposed to be washed and just another guy to go to get some rounds in for Munguia, or until the very next time you want to get some rounds in for Munguia. It wasn't supposed to be a life and death fight. So you've got all of that to worry about, but all you want to do is put your energy into Eddie Hearn. It seems a bit weird, especially considering, who was it? Robert Diaz, who was his old matchmaker. Apparently he's now the matchmaker for Matchroom and DAZN. I guess hence why a lot of their US cards now are looking a bit better from the undercard all the way up to the main event. You're getting a lot of competitive fights, not just, you know, the prospect versus the journeyman type scenarios. So you got that. Then you obviously had Richard Schaefer, who was there before he left, and I don't know what Eric Gomez, I don't know if how involved he is now compared to what he was doing before, but it seems like when Oscar's being made to run everything, things are just kind of getting run into the ground. And rather than fix his in-house problems, he's trying to throw stones out the cracked window of his house to reach the house on the other side of the valley. You know, he ain't got a strong enough arm for that. Because no matter what's happening with Matchroom right now, like, you're not in a great position yourself. Even if you factor in Ortiz and Stanionis for next week, yeah, it's supposed to be a good fight. Guess what? That fight was supposed to happen a year ago. That fight's been pushed back 3 times. Most other people would have probably forgotten and given up on it by now, but because you have no other stars, like, that's who you're picking. That's who you have to build with. And then you choose Leonard Ellaby of all people to try and back you. What broadcaster does he have? Who does he promote? What shows is he putting on? Like, his name wasn't on the paperwork for Tank versus Garcia. The second one, not obviously Hector Luis. He might have been involved in that. But what fighters is he promoting? Lou DiBella. He's got a pretty decent stable, I give him that. But guess what? He's got no TV dates. He's got no network promote. Like, so these are all small time guys that you're trying to get to back your case. The best option is obviously is Bob Arum, but I don't think Bob Arum likes you that much either. Yeah, he might like you a bit more than Eddie, but he'll throw you under the bus just as quickly as he'll probably throw the both of you under the bus in the same comment, because that's what Bob Arum does. He ain't got time for all of that. So yeah, this whole thing is like, don't get me wrong, it's funny. I don't follow Oscar, but I see a lot of the retweets and stuff where I see the videos on it. But I'm just like, my guy, like, fix your stable first. Get yourself to the level that Matchroom's at currently. And I'm talking like post Canelo currently, because you're not even at that level. You get yourself to that level, then talk shit. But even when he's like, you're trying to feed Jaime Munguia to Edgar Berlanga, like, good luck with that. It's like, well, number one, you shouldn't refer to your guy as getting fed to anyone. That's not supposed to be the case. It's supposed to be, you're trying to make a fight with the megastar on this side. Yeah, come on then, let's do it. Because ultimately, if you make that big fight, it brings more eyes to the zone, which brings more eyes to your product, which therefore in theory gets you a bigger budget the following year, or however that's supposed to work out. You're not supposed to be looking to do fights with David Benavidez. Even if you can make that fight happen for Jaime Munguia at this point, Berlanga is probably a bigger fight territorially, because you've got the Mexico West Coast type stuff with Jaime, you've got the New York stuff. It's Puerto Rico against Mexico instead of Mexico versus Mexico, where you got to divide fans. Now you get to unite your fan base with this fan base. They're all gonna show up. It just makes a bigger spectacle, and you keep it in-house. I'm not saying don't fight Berlanga down the line, but why are you gonna give money away when it's money you need for your promotion? Put the money in-house first, then worry about them winner takes that afterwards, or make it for a belt or something. It's just, he does a lot of weird moves. I don't know if it's cocaine, I don't know if it's other things, I don't know if it's maybe mental health stuff, I don't know. But it's just like, if Eddie is living rent-free in his head, like, he needs to evict him and focus on what's gonna get him paid, because talking all that shit on Twitter and blocking the fights that need to happen on the platform is not gonna get you to where you need to be, apart from giving a P45 and say so long. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny, but it also feels a bit sad at times. So let's hope that either they can sort that out, or they can just do a Matchroom versus Golden Boy card, and then just your best prospect versus my best prospect, your number one guy versus my number one guy, etc, etc. Obviously marry up the weight classes, do what you need to do and get it on that way, and then settle it once and for all, because the DAZN civil war clearly ain't good for business of DAZN. And look, last but not least, when was it? Sunday last week. Look, I didn't see it, I haven't watched it, I don't really care to, but the Adrian Broner podcast appearance, when he was kind of slurring and stuff, whether he was inebriated on drink or drugs or whatever. The one thing I want to say is, there's some people who've basically said that, the guys who did the interview, they shouldn't have put it out, like it's, that's bad mind from them or whatnot. I kind of disagree. Like, if they knew him, let's say like they knew him personally, then okay, cool, that's supposed to be your boy, you're supposed to do that, right? But to them, I'm assuming this is just an assignment to them. We've waited a little time to try and get this opportunity. Now he's coming. All right, he's in this state, but you know what? We've got a job to do. We've got our pockets to feed, whatever. So we're just gonna get through what we can get through. And I'm guessing that ultimately at the point it was so bad that they just had to take it down. It's like, yeah, we thought this might have some merit, but it's just not worth the hassle. But by that time, I think it's already been screen recorded and people have shared it or whatnot. I've seen bits and pieces of it. But my issue is, why would people say, they should have never uploaded it, that's wicked, rather than saying, boy, the person that's with Adrian in that room, like, should have never let him get, number one, should have never let him get to that state. And number two, if he got to that state, should have said, do you know what, guys, sorry, we can't do this, like, we have to bounce because he's not in a good way, like, whatever. Like, the people that Adrian is with are the ones that need to be, like, looking out for his best interests, not the people just essentially doing their job or you know, maybe getting a bit gassed that they got a celeb or whatever in the studio with them to chop it up for a little piece of time. So yeah, I'll put the blame squarely on the team more than them. It wasn't a good look. Adrian, I guess he's right when he says that he needs to be in the gym, because when he's in the gym he doesn't get himself into issues. So I guess you just gotta have back-to-back fight dates just lined up for him, like 6 fight dates a year. You know, 6 weeks in the gym, you take 3 or 4 days out, you go back in the gym, another 6-week camp, and you're back at it again. Like, that's probably literally got to be the way that you have to manage this guy, because outside of that, he's not going to go to therapy. It doesn't seem like he's not going to go to rehab. He's just gonna self-medicate in whatever way he picks, and unfortunately it doesn't look like he picks the right ways to do so. It's a shame, but look, I hope he gets back and hope he gets well and all of that. But ultimately, like, yeah, I don't really have an issue with them putting it out. That's probably not a relationship they're that keen to keep, to be fair. But I also know from a position of, if you do want to hold a relationship, then maybe you ask some questions first. You know, do you really want to put that out? Quick example, I won't say who, but I did an interview with someone not too long ago, to be fair, and you know, I said to them, oh yeah, you cool with everything that we said? Yeah, it's all good. I upload the interview, or I send the interview off to be uploaded. Then they come back to me as it's actually just hit the airwaves. Oh, you know what, could you take out when I said X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, oh, it's literally just gone up. You know, all right, look, if you really want to take it out, I will. Like, yeah, please. So okay, so I got it taken down, re-edited, and got it back uploaded again. I probably lost a window of, you know, audience time at that point, but my relationship with that person was enough that I said, nah, you know what, I need to take this down, because I value that relationship, and obviously they've given me their time. I respect it. So let's just, you know, let me just take it out. I'll take the hit, whatever hit that might be at the time, and you know, maybe I get it back on the next one, or it will end up getting paid forward in the future. So yeah, if you want to keep the relationship, then maybe you got to do them sacrifices. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't blame them. I blame his team or whoever was with him, and they're the ones that he needs to probably G-check moving forward. But you know what, that's all. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. As always, Hardcore Casual, out.